have a siddur, right?
For a walk with a friend, and it's like this quite spooky tunnel, but it was completely packed full of people, so it was like really
It's not so spooky.
Can we just start?
Can we start with Hine or Nigun or something?
Yeah.
Let me put the volume.
Page 126. Oh, I practiced this before and it kind of works, so we're going to try this. Hang on. So it's Hine Matov to Waltzing Matilda. Hine Matov u'mahanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'mahanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
That was beautiful.
Anzac Day.
It did work. It did work. Mayafe Hayom on page 126.
Ma yafe hayom, Shabbat shalom. Ma yafe hayom, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Page 128. Dodi li ve'ani lo haroeh b'shoshanim. Dodi li mizot olam min hamidbar mizot olam. Dodi li, dodi li, dodi li ve'ani lo haroeh b'shoshanim. Dodi li.
Lechadodi on page 138.
Lecha dodi likrat kala yadadai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala yadadai 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor vezachor bedibur echad, hishmiyanu el hamyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shemo Lecha dodi likrat kala yadadai 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 Pnei Shabbat nekavela Lecha dodi likrat kala yadadai 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 Pnei Shabbat nekavela Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha Ki mekor habracha Merosh mikedem nesucha Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tila Lecha dodi likrat kala yaladai 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 Pnei Shabbat nekavela Lecha dodi likrat kala yaladai 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 nekavela hitoreri hitoreri Kiva orech kumi ori Uri uri shir daberi Kevod Adonai alayich nigla Lecha dodi likrat kala yaladai 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 Pnei Shabbat nekavela Lecha dodi likrat kala yaladai 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 Pnei Shabbat nekavela Boi v'shalom ateret bala Gam b'simcha utzola Toch emunei am segula Boi kala Lecha dodi likrat kala yaladai 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 Pnei Shabbat nekavela Lecha dodi likrat kala yaladai 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 Pnei Shabbat nekavela.
Now that we have welcomed Shabbat with Lecha dodi, Jacob, would you like to light our Shabbat candles for us and our candle of hope? The candle lighting is on page 118.
It's just Shabbat, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just Shabbat.
Okay.
Amen. Let's take a moment to turn to one another, wishing each other a Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Sorry, I skipped a song there.
I thought it was intentional. We turn forward to Shalom Aleichem on page 142. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Let us rise for the Chatzi Kaddish on page 144. The blessing for the evening on page 148. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv v'aravim, b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim, u'bitbuna meshane itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'msader et hakochavim, u'shmerotehem barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom u'meivi layla, uma'avdil ben yom u'ben layla, Adonai tzavaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu l'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv arabim.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shokbeinu, uvkumeinu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla. ואהבתך תחסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. שם כבוד, שם כבוד מלכותו, לעולם ועד.
We may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך, בכל נפשך, בכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. On page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Our Song of Freedom, Mi Chamocha, page 158.
Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot hosefel, nora tehilot hosefel, ma'alechutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Zelianu ve'amru Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed.
ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגואלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל Yisrael. Hashkivenu, a prayer of shelter and peace, page 160.
I've gone blank on the tune. If someone stops. Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ותקננו בעצת טובה מלפניך, הושיענו למען שמך, והגן בעדנו והסה מעלינו אויב, דבב, וחרב, ורעב, ויגון, והרחק ממנו עוון ופשע, ובצל כנפיך תסתירנו, כי אל שומרנו ומצילנו אתה, כי אל חנון ורחום אתה, ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום, מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו, ועל כל עמו ישראל, ועל ירושלים. ושמרו, page 162.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti leolam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. U'bayom hashvi'i Shabbat v'yinafash, Shabbat v'yinafash, Shabbat v'yinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam.
Let us rise for the Amidah, which is on page 164.
Adonai tzefachai tiftachu fi yagid tfilatecha. Adonai tzefachai tiftachu fi yagid tfilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech Eloheinu Elokei Avraham Elokei Yitzchak Elokei Yaakov Elokei Sarah Elokei Rivka Elokei Rachel Elokei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Ha'gibor Ha'norah El Elyon Goel Hatzavim Tovim Bekonei Yaakov Bezocher Haserot Neimot Umevii Gula L'Ifeihem Lema'an Shemo B'Yahavav Melech Choseh Mashiach U'Magid Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Be'ezras Sarah Atah Gibor Ha'olam Adonai Mechayeh Hakol Atah Rash HaMashiach Mashiach HaTorah Marin HaGeshem Mazriach HaShemesh Urim HaTav Mechapel Ha'ayim B'Chesed Mechayeh Hakol B'Rachamim Rabim Somech Noflim V'Rofeh Olim U'Matir HaSorim U'Mekayem Emunato L'Shenei Afav V'Chamoch Halal V'Bruvot U'Midon Elach Melech Memit U'Mechayeh U'Matzmiach Yeshua V'Ne'eman Atah L'Chayot Ha'Kol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh Hakol.
Atah kadosh v'shemcha kadosh u'kdoshim b'chol yom yahalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. We continue silently with the prayers of our hearts or the words of the page, coming together with Oseh Shalom on page 180. יחיו לרצון אמרי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי וגואלי. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer.
Ose shalom bimrama, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimrama, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen.
Amen.
I don't know if it goes again.
I think it can keep going.
Okay.
It's one of those pieces that can keep going. So, Becca, I'm going to hand the beamer over to you as you're going to share a few words about Anzac Day and your experiences and a little history, because obviously today is Anzac Day, all day.
Yes. So, first, just a few little vignettes and memories from my life connected to Anzac Day. So, growing up in Canberra, we had the War Memorial there, and it was there that I learned through experience that the temperature actually drops just before dawn on a very cold dawn service. And then after the dawn service, you have streams of people walking back to their cars far, far away, carrying blankets and coats as the sun starts to rise and we start to get those warmer days. There's a memorial to the Vietnam War, and it was opened and dedicated on Anzac Parade near the War Memorial when I was in my late teens. And my best friend growing up was the daughter of one of the Australian Northern Command chiefs from Vietnam. So I was invited to attend the dedication with her and her family and spend a few hours with her father and the surviving members of his troop at lunch. And I often wonder if there is a specific word for all of the emotion of that morning. You could feel their relief in being together because these are the only other people that really understood what it was like. You could hear and see the 18-year-olds in the faces of these 60-year-olds when they laughed and teased each other. The anger and the loss that they felt was still very raw. And the fact that I had so many questions and wanted to hear their story was really appreciated. It was raw, tender, bitter, and sweet. And afterwards I recognised that as I asked questions and they answered them, I also gave my best friend the answer to so many questions she'd had, but she could never ask her father. It was similar to the stories within our own community about how the questions from grandchildren can be answered by our Holocaust survivors, but the children never felt that they could ask. My morning with the veterans made my visit to Gallipoli in my late 20s so much more full and real, and it also had, contained all of that emotion. What I have for you today, though, is a drosh that I told my father he had to write because he volunteered me to Rabbi Kim to do a drosh today. And I said, sure, if you write it. So it's possible some of this has been plagiarised, so here we go. In 1914, the war in Europe started, and the mother country called for troops in Australia. And in Australia, the call was answered by those that wanted adventure and sometimes wanted a job. After training in Egypt, the Aussies were scheduled to land in Gallipoli on the 25th of April 1915 to conquer what was considered the soft underbelly of the Ottoman Empire, and this proved tougher than planned, because today became the day that Australia commemorates its personal service because of those who served and those who never returned. With the Aussies that landed at Gallipoli was the Zion Mule Corps, the first time that Jewish soldiers fought as a Jewish unit and were designated as such since the days of Bar Kokhba. In Alexandria at the time were several, perhaps 11,000 Jewish refugees, many who were Russian-speaking, who had fled or been expelled from Palestine by Turkey and were being cared for by the Egyptian Jewish community in the barracks at Gabarai and Mafruza. Many wished to put themselves at Britain's disposal to liberate Palestine from Turkish rule and so take the step towards the dream of a reborn Jewish homeland. So March 1915 saw the formation of the Zion Mule Corps as a unit of the British Army, the first independent Jewish fighting force to take an active part in a war since the destruction of the temple by the Romans 2,000 years ago. It marks a momentous point in Jewish history, and many of the men involved later formed what was to become the core of the modern Israeli army. So the Zion Mule Call was written about in an American Yiddish newspaper, Der Tag, on the 7th of August 1917. And it was written, "As far as I know, this is the first time in the Christian era such a thing has happened. They have shown great courage taking supplies to the line under heavy fire, and they have proved invaluable to us." The commander of the Zion Mule Corps was the Lieutenant Colonel John Henry Patterson, a tall, elegant and experienced Boer War veteran of the Northern Irish Protestant origin. Born in Dublin in 1867, he arrived in Egypt during World War I, just at the moment where the British commander in the area, General Sir John Maxwell, was looking for a suitable office to raise and command a Jewish military fighting unit to fight against the Turks in the Middle East. For 3 weeks, intense training went on from dawn until dusk, as the Corps was under orders to sail for Gallipoli. Their job was to supply frontline troops with food, water and ammunition. The newly appointed Commander-in-Chief of the Mediterranean Expeditionary Forces to Gallipoli, General Sir Ian Hamilton, carried out an on-the-spot inspection and was delighted with the workmanlike appearance of the Corps after such a short time of training. At Pesach, Patterson fought unfriendly attitudes in high places to get his men kosher food and matzah for Seder, in which he fully participated. After Pesach, the Corps paraded and marched 3 miles to the great synagogue in Alexandria, where they were blessed in an emotional ceremony by the Grand Rabbi and cheered by the local population. They then sailed on the HMT Hymettus and the HMT Anglo-Egyptian on the 17th of April from Alexandria to Lemnos, arriving there 3 days later. And apparently they were singing Hatikva, which at the time was a Jewish anthem and later the Israeli anthem. In the harbour, they astonished many of the English soldiers by chatting freely in Russian with the sailors of the Russian cruiser Askold. At Lemnos, Patterson was informed, under protest by him, that the Zion Mule Corps was to be divided into 2. The Hymettus group, about 300, was to accompany the 29th Division, and the remainder, the Anzac Division. Patterson foresaw what would happen. He was not with the group that was with the Anzac Division, and those men that were unused to soldiering and mismanaged by officers they did not know became demoralised, and after 3 weeks they were sent to return to Egypt. The remaining men were transferred to the HMT Dunredon and sailed for Gallipoli on the 24th of April. On the following morning, in the mist, the Zion Mule Corps aboard the Dunredon approached Cape Helios at the extreme southern tip of the Gallipoli Peninsula. They heard distinctly the dull roar of the guns of both Allied ships and Turkish shore batteries. They saw smoke, flames and debris as high explosives smashed into the beaches and cliffs. Circling aircraft and prowling submarines were in evidence, and the landings had just begun.
It's such an interesting story, isn't it?
Mm.
And so moving, because we know what happened on Gallipoli on those beaches. And we know what happened to those men from that.
Mm.
But what an incredible commander to command those troops and to go fight.
Mm.
And may their memories be a blessing.
Get them their matzah for Seder.
We're going to turn to Counting of the Omer, which is on page 570, and I invite you to please rise. Hineni mukhan uzmuzman lekayem mitzvat aseh shel sfirat haomer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher klishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat haomer. Hayom 13 yom shehem shavua echad shisha yamim laomer. Today is the 13th day, which is 1 week and 6 days of the Omer. We continue with Aleinu on page 586, page 586. And Joe and Greg, I'd like to invite you to open the ark for us, please, for Aleinu.
the page. Aleinu Shabbat Ladon Hakol, Latek G'dolah Yaseh Breshit, Shehu Noten Shamayim V'Yosed Haaretz, U'Mashav Yakarov Hashamayim Yima'o, U'Shkin Atuzov V'Nomei Meromim, U'Eloheinu Eino, V'Anachnu Korim, U'Mishtachavim U'Modim, V'Ifnei Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 591. V'Ne'emar V'Haya Adonai L'Melech al Kol Haaretz, V'Yom Hahu, V'Yom Hahu Yireh Adonai Echad, U'Shemo
As we turn to the Kaddish, I'd like to just make announcements, if you didn't read Machadash, that the stone consecration, the Matzeva, or the unveiling, for Ken Rose is on Sunday at 10 o'clock at Karakata. All are, you don't say invited, but the family has said that please, anybody who would like to come along should feel free to do so. And then there is a meal of condolence afterwards at Ian and Joan's home, and I can give you that address after the service. So I'll just put that aside for after the service. As we remember our loved ones for Shiva and for Shloshim, Terry sent me the name of a fallen soldier in the last couple of days in Israel, whose name I had, and then I have misplaced, but we think of him at this moment, and of course his family is part of the Shloshim. I think the name is Asaf Caspi, Sergeant Asaf Caspi, and that's for the Shiva. For the Shloshim, we remember Lillian Kessley, mother of Hillary Winterton, Rose Kessel, and Moira Lawrence. The yard sites that we remember, along with all of the fallen soldiers, not just the Anzacs from World War I, but through all of the wars that the Anzacs have fought, but all the soldiers that fight for the defense of democracy, for peace, and for the security of Australia, but also for our ideals as well, and for the peace of Israel, and for peace across the world as well. We think of, for our yard sites in this congregation and our community, we think of Isaac Garnelis, remembered by Melvin, Yvonne Turner, remembered by Alison Wiedebaum, Norma Gunsberg, remembered by Thelma, Rayma Rappaport, remembered by Thelma Gunsberg, Sarah Bando, remembered by Michael Bando, Anja Ruzhnek, remembered by Eva Richards, Anton Bloom, remembered by Gina Davidson, Daniel Haas, remembered by Helen Bryant, Maya Kaczynski, remembered by Judy Goldschmidt, Scott Waxler, remembered by Yvain Feinberg. If you would like to remember a loved one for Shiva, Shloshim, yard sites, or for Anzac, or for any war, please feel free to share the name of a loved one at this time. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. May the memory of the righteous be for a blessing. As we stand together in solidarity on page 598, to recite the Kaddish. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, v'yamad divrach ritei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yom echon, v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'izman kariv v'meru, amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach, l'olam ulamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitada v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'reichu, le'alan u'min Tushbachata v'nechemata, damiran bi'alma v'imru. Yehei shlam araba min shemaya, chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. Oseh shalom mimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Hamakom yenachem echem b'tosha havlei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved, in Zion and Jerusalem and around the world, and let us say, Amen. Just a couple of announcements that I'd like to share at this time as we are seated. First of all, Becca, thank you so much for leading services this evening and for sharing the drush, both your personal account as well as also a little bit of the history of the Zion Mule Corps. It didn't sound plagiarized. I'm sure your dad did not.
No, I'm sure he just drew from many sources, and yes.
Yes. Regardless, it was very interesting. And tomorrow we have regular services, of course, at 10:30, followed by coffee club, and Sunday at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock is the, even though Machadash says 10:30, it's 10 o'clock, the consecration for Ken Rose. The advert is right. The notes are incorrect. Then the other things that are going on, I'm really just a little disorganized here. On Tuesday, Monday is also Mahjong at it's still 12 o'clock. It's not the first of the month yet. Monday, Mahjong at 12 o'clock. Then Wednesday is Shmooze Club and Israeli dancing. And of course, then we have Yom HaZikaron and Yom HaAtzmaut that are also happening. Yom HaZikaron is on Tuesday the 29th at 7 p.m. and Yom HaAtzmaut is at 6:15 on the Wednesday night. Please, you do have to book tickets for all of these events. Yom HaZikaron, I believe, is a free event. The ad looks like that. The Yom HaAtzmaut is not free because they provide food and celebration and entertainment. The ad looks like that. Please click on those ads in Machadash. So please go ahead and do all of that. It should be lots of fun. And I think that takes us through most of the week. Of course, those main events are not at Temple David. Any questions about any of the events? I'll see you at everything, no doubt. Of course. Our final song.
Can I make an announcement?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, please.
So as some of you know, one of our community members, Catherine, has had some surgery this week, Catherine Teal, and I was having a chat to her about what support might be useful and was asking about meals, and she said meals would be very helpful in a specific way at a specific time. So I volunteered to organise like an organised schedule around meals, so they're not necessarily receiving many at a time. So obviously you can support and connect with them in any way that you want. But if you hear of somebody who wants to offer meals and you think you can put them in contact with me, I would really love to be able to just create a little bit of a container and scheduling around that, because I think it's going to support them best over the next few weeks. I'll leave my email address on the beamer for tomorrow as well. And if you just get in contact with me, and within the next 3 or 4 days, I'll just put something together and we'll communicate it. Even if you would like to participate but you don't think you can actually deliver it, we can get somebody else to deliver it. They've sort of given me an idea about what they eat, but also that midweek would be useful rather than weekends, and just a few other things. So please get in contact with me yourself, or if you hear of anyone talking about it, see if they want to participate.
Please also consider volunteer Shabbat. Even if you get the email and you don't want to fill out everything, just put X's and everything everywhere else if you don't want to fill out why you volunteer. It's important for us to honor those that do volunteer, and it also inspires people to volunteer for the different organizations, and that's a lovely reason to write down why you do volunteer in the different in areas. Even if you don't volunteer anymore, please still do share that. The electronic book is something that we will share through the internet. Even if you want to do it anonymously, it's still a lovely thing to do. If you're unsure about that, speak to me and I can share that with you as well. People have shared some really beautiful things, and it's coming along really beautifully. We didn't want to make paper copies because often we make too many and they get lost, and this way you can also have it and share it with friends. Our final song, is it Adon Olam?
Page 625. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Li'et Nasa V'chefza Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh V'hu Yeh B'tifara Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Ve'et Nasa V'chefza Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh V'hu Yeh B'tifara Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Ve'et Nasa V'chefza Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh B'tifara V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh B'tifara V'hu Echad V'ein Sheni V'hamshilo V'hachbira B'li Reshit B'li Tachlit V'lo ha'oz v'hamisra V'hu Eli V'chai go'eli V'tzur chevli V'et tzara V'hu nisi Umanos li Manat kosi B'yom ekra B'yado Avkid ruchi B'et ishan Ve'aira Ve'im ruchi Geviati Adonai li V'lo ira Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Ve'et Nasa V'chefza Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh V'hu Yeh B'tifara Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Ve'et Nasa V'chefza Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh B'tifara V'hu Haya V'hu Hoveh B'tifara.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Please join us for Kiddush.